Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm Errol Barnett. We begin this hour right next to me on the House floor. Right now, lawmakers are debating the GOP's massive tax and spending bill ahead of a crucial final vote.
The yeas are 219, the nays are 213. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
All right, that moment was from overnight. A marathon procedural vote closed after several Republicans switched to yes votes early this morning. House Speaker Mike Johnson's now optimistic that President's so-called big beautiful bill could pass soon.
It won't drag on long. We'll be voting, I think, by early morning.
President Donald Trump railed against the holdout from some Republicans on social media, posting this, quote, "For Republicans, this should be an easy yes vote. Ridiculous." Claudia Crosales is a congressional correspondent for NPR. She joins us now with some details on this. Good morning to you, Claudia. We just saw Hakeem Jeffries on the House floor using his time to, it sounds like, read letters from constituents about how a cut to Medicaid would damage their lives and their children's lives. But President Trump wants his cornerstone legislation passed by the 4th of July. Will he get his wish?
Right. He is on track to get his wish. Democrats don't have much say here other than delaying this vote. And that's exactly what Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries is doing at the moment. We had heard rumors he might speak for an hour, but he's going several hours so far. So we'll see how long he speaks. He is talking about different Medicaid recipients, for example, in different districts around the country. He's talking about Republicans who have warned about these cuts that we're expecting, dramatic cuts from Medicaid, assuming this bill passes later today. But it's pretty remarkable. Republicans can say this is a really, really big victory because there have been multiple showdowns in both chambers repeatedly, including what we saw overnight, which was about 20 hours of the same vote series that was held open to convince a number of holdouts, Republican holdouts, to flip to yes. And that's happened. So they're on the verge here of getting that final passage now.
Yeah, and for folks like you who watch this so closely, you know, the dust up around this bill is fascinating. Previously, the House passed its version by a single vote. It jumps over to the Senate where adjustments were made. But what were those changes from the upper chamber? And if this does pass today, what will it look like? And how does it impact the lives of our viewers?
Yeah, this is going to affect so many facets of American life. It really is wide reaching. And when it comes to the Senate, for example, it passed by just one vote there, but they have different requirements there that they needed to meet, stricter rules and different demands from that Republican conference over there. And what they did in those cases to try and appease those holdouts in that chamber is they made steeper cuts to Medicaid. That's a concern for folks Republicans who have said this could hurt hospitals in rural areas. Plus, there were other changes made, for example, carve outs in Alaska to some of these Medicaid cuts, delaying some of their impact there to convince Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski to vote yes. So now, when we look at what the House is staring down, is they are basically facing a decision to approve this. When we look at House Republicans are under immense pressure from President Trump. But it is because it is carrying so much. It's carrying the bulk of his domestic agenda. That includes extending a 2017 tax cut package. It includes no tax on tips and overtime, although that is temporary, as well as new funding for immigration and border enforcement. And it lifts the debt ceiling. That is key. It needs to happen this summer. A deadline is approaching to lift that ceiling. If not, there could be catastrophic consequences.
That's right. And as you were saying that, Hakeem Jeffries received a bit of a standing ovation from Democrats behind him as he tries to at least delay what seems like a foregone conclusion that this is likely to pass. Claudia, thank you so much. CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman connects with us now. Good morning to you, Willie. You know, President Trump met with some of the Republican House holdouts yesterday, really putting the pressure on them to pass this bill. How is he convincing them to do so?
Yeah, that's right, Errol. Remember, this is essentially a key piece of legislation that the president needs to be able to get much of what he wants to do over the next year and beyond that accomplished. Of course, we know that the president, according to White House officials, spent time not only on the phone and in those in-person meetings, as you just described, but also posting on True Social, posting on social media, trying to turn up the pressure on Republicans to get them to get this bill across the finish line. The president posted yesterday, I want to bring this up, he said largest tax cuts in history and booming economy versus biggest tax increases in history and a failed economy. What are Republicans waiting for? What are you trying to prove? MAGA is not happy and it's costing you votes. The president essentially saying that his base, the MAGA base, will turn on Republicans if they do not get this passed. Remember, the president has been fierce in his criticism against those who have come out in opposition against this bill. Take Senator Tom Tillis, for instance, from North Carolina. Over the weekend, he essentially said he would not support this legislation, did not vote for it eventually, and then the president fiercely criticized him, and Tillis, after the fact, after all of that happened, decided that he would not run for another term in the U.S. Senate. We, of course, expect this vote. We, of course, expect the president to be watching it closely, and he has set that deadline of July 4th for this bill to be on his desk, Errol.
And Willie, not only will this be an accomplishment for President Trump's domestic agenda and so many of his campaign promises, it will also be proof, if this does pass, that he is politically powerful, despite Democratic criticisms and despite some moderate Republicans saying they're not likely to support the bill. I mean, if this does pass by his own self-imposed deadline, just speak to how big of a win this is likely to be for the president.
Yeah, that's right. It would be an immense victory for this president and for this White House. And of course, this follows what the White House sees as victories and good news over the past 2 weeks. We, of course, saw the U.S. get involved in that conflict between Israel and Iran, the U.S. striking Iranian nuclear enrichment sites, and then the president helping to negotiate a ceasefire between those two countries. The president helping with the Gaza situation as well, and those hostages that are still being held with Hamas. This president is trying to pitch to the American people that he's back on the world stage, that he is in control, and that he can have successes both abroad and at home. And this will certainly deliver on that success, and certainly would be something that the White House will look to tout as one of the very, very strong victories of this president's second term, Errol.
That's right. Willie, please do stay close. We want our viewers to stay close as well. We're going to continue to watch everything as it unfolds on the House floor.